This is the 41st episode of the Effective Executive podcast and YouTube channel release. I do these every Monday. And this week, I'm going to talk about something that I'm getting very concerned about and having a lot more conversations with people about, which is a financial downturn. So I've given this the title of organizational prepping for a financial downturn. Just a little backstory. I have been following financial markets pretty much my whole career. And I invest on my own. And in recent years, I've done more trading, swing trading, which is kind of short-term trading. And I wouldn't necessarily call it day trading, but sometimes it is in a day. But it's something that really is a skill that not everyone has or not necessarily need to have, but at the same time, people need to be their own fiduciaries, meaning nobody's going to be more interested in what happens to your money than you. And even, you see all these commercials now, they're going to do it for you and all that type of thing. I have found that to be a bad idea. You really, only one person has the interest, and you really need to understand the fundamentals of day trading, even if you're not going to do day trading and swing trading and things of that sort. But the backstory here is after I lived through the dot-com bust, and I see similar things going on with cryptocurrencies and things of that sort. And this is just coming from experience, and I can hear it now. Okay, boomer. But regardless, this is something that if you haven't lived through it, you really have no idea. Most of the people I'm talking to today, executives, they only know that the market goes up. They've kept the Federal Reserve has kept interest rates artificially low, and this has been a ticking time bomb I've been watching for quite a while. Now, back in 2008, the great financial crisis came around. It was predicted by very few economists, even though a bunch of them now take credit for it. None of them are on video or anything. But there are two that I really started following after that particular time frame, and that is Peter Schiff. And he was ridiculed by many on mainstream media. You can look him up on YouTube and find videos where he was mocked by, Art Laffer and different people out there who are all some form of Keynesians, which is a economic philosophy. And but I've been following him for quite a while, and he's been warning that things are getting worse. Now, to accent that, Michael Burry, if you haven't seen The Big Short, then go see The Big Short, because it explains about what happened in the 2008 financial crisis. It's both funny, sad. I mean, it is a really good movie that I think everyone should watch. And Michael Burry was the one that bought up credit default swaps and made a ton of money for his investment firm. And he's kind of a different dude. He is out there on Twitter, and he warned of hyperinflation. Then all of a sudden he got kind of visited, maybe, or addressed by the SEC for warning of hyperinflation. And so he deleted those tweets. And actually, he'd been off Twitter for quite a long time, but he just started reposting some things, and then he deletes them, which is really, it makes it even more captivating from that standpoint. But he's under a Twitter handle. He calls himself Cassandra, which is the Greek mythology character that basically She was someone that was a prophet, could predict the future, but was destined for nobody to believe her. And so that's kind of his story. And he says, I'm trying to warn people, and people aren't listening to me. So he dropped off of Twitter there for quite a while. I'm going to say a couple months at least. And to me, the original Cassandra was Felix Warburg, who in the 1930s, during the Great Depression, had predicted the Great Depression or the fall of the stock market. And he actually was able to save his own bank, but nobody listened to him. They were like, oh, no, this is all, and that's kind of the environment that we're living in today. Everything is always going to go up. And, it doesn't. It will. And matter of fact, I think this crash is going to be, personally, I believe it's going to be something bigger than even something that we had in the 1930s. But that's me. So even after being, Michael Burry has been investigated by the SEC. And matter of fact, after The Big Short, instead of, government officials maybe coming to him and said, how did you know this and different things, he's got audited a bunch of times. And that's at the end of the movie, The Big Short. Please watch it if you haven't. You'll learn quite a bit. So the real question now is, if we're coming towards a financial downturn, or in my opinion, a meltdown, is your company prepared? And most of the conversations having with executives indicate to me that they are not. And they all have these risk management things, but they're not looking at the right stuff, in my opinion. And they need to be prepared, not only for their organization, but for themselves. And I'm fascinated by the lack of understanding of how the stock market works, when it seems like a lot of executives are paid off of, options and their bonuses and things of that sort. If the stock goes up, they're going to get a bigger bonus. And maybe, from some view, if I just do my job, I'll reap the benefits of it. But man, you can lose a lot of money by not really understanding how things operate in the stock market and what's going on a macroeconomic level. And so I'm going to be, I've been contemplating this for some time, but I'm going to be starting a second YouTube channel to help individual executives, just as an education. I'm not a financial expert by any stretch, but I've been through these cycles. I've seen what's happened in organizations, and I have been able to tie some of the things that are happening in the economy to individual organizations. And that's kind of my unique view or perspective that I bring to this type of thing. And I think executives need to be their own fiduciary. They work so hard to gain the money that they have and to have moved up in their organizations. And I just don't believe that it's something that you can outsource. And you look at someone like Tiger Woods. Yeah, he has a coach, but can the coach beat him in golf? No. So you have to have some level of knowledge. You can't be 100 shooter, and even if you have a 70, just go manage it, because money managers and financial advisors have multiple customers, and they don't have time to look at yours every day. So you have to be actively engaged as an individual. So anyway, I'm going to be starting this channel. There'll be probably, for the most part, I like to keep my videos under 10 minutes. So that's what I'm hoping to do for that. I have reserved a name for it. It comes from the saying, don't confuse brains with a bear or with a bull market. And so I'm calling it Brains and Bulls. And so I've got the website reserved and all of those types of things. So going back to that's what I'm going to be doing for individuals. But for organizations, the way to mitigate some of the things that are coming in a financial downturn are going to be enhanced by your ability to be a synthetic thinker, to be able to look at your organization as a system. Now, normally I just look at the customer lens and the thinking lens of an organization, and am able to help executives kind of get through understanding why their organization operates the way that it does, and the way that the customer sees it. And that is a huge step for many organizations. But today, you need to look broader. It's the systems that you're a part of. Customers are certainly a part of that, and you need to really dig down to know if you have a huge financial downturn. If you're in an HVAC business, let's say, then the customer is maybe impacted. Hey, I can't afford a new system. You may have to rethink what your business model is and what people can afford, and the prices of things inflating and things of that sort. So you got to be aware of these macroeconomic issues. How are they going to impact your particular business? But beyond that, one thing I don't really talk about enough are your vendors, your supply chain, and so I'm building these system maps for how an organization it plays in the broader context of the system that they're in, the macroeconomic level of things, and what's at risk. I mean, we see a lot of people with shortages and things, with vendors, and where do you stand? Are you ready? And again, I know a lot of larger organizations, they have risk management, but they seem to be looking at the wrong stuff, in my opinion. And they're more concerned with things that they're used to seeing, and they're not really macroeconomic thinkers or synthetic thinkers, either one. So, being a synthetic thinker is going to make you and your organization perform much better and anticipate. You can't anticipate everything. I got it. But it will help you prepare for what's coming, and a lot of organizations who live through some of the things we've been through before have there's no data or anything. They've all it's real large organizations, yeah, because they've kept some data, but they haven't got back and looked at it. What decisions were they making? What were they forced to do? All these types of things help inform what you should be doing as an organization. And for me, I believe economic risk is at the highest it's been, really, since I've been alive. And this, to me, goes beyond what happened with the dot-com bust in 2000 and what happened with the great financial crisis in 2008. So if your organization is in need of help in getting started in this, you can reach me at the95method.com/let's talk. You can set up a 30-minute meeting. We can have a conversation about what's going on, give you some things to look at, and hopefully add value when you start to look at these things. So that's what I wanted to cover this week. And, please do prep. Prep for your organization, prep for yourself. Get knowledge about what's going on a macroeconomic level and how that might impact your organization and how that might impact your individual portfolio that you have.